Microsoft's big news may have just leaked a little bit early. We got some information on what was happening behind closed doors when all this hoopla was kind of breaking out. This is going to be my last video on the subject until we actually hear tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, what Microsoft's plans are ultimately going to be. But we maybe got a little bit of a jump with this information that came out, and I think this is pretty interesting to say the least. It's been a heck of a day for gaming news, I think, even across with PlayStation and with what Microsoft is doing. So again, it's very interesting. So why did Xbox show Palworld on every screen at a company meeting? So according to this article, which is from Inverse, of course going to be linked in the description below, they spoke to multiple Microsoft employees who attended a virtual town hall with Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer and Xbox President Sarah Bond last week. Now this, of course, was when all hell broke loose and everybody was freaking out about games going to PlayStation and things like that. Images of Palworld were shown across screens on February 6th at an internal Xbox town hall that Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer and Xbox President Sarah Bond held with all the employees. The meeting last Tuesday came right after rumors swirled around that Xbox exclusive game Starfield potentially coming to the PlayStation 5, and headlines were all over the internet with Hi-Fi Rush, as well as Pentiment potentially coming to the Nintendo Switch, as well as the PlayStation 5. Multiple Microsoft employees who were present for the virtual Xbox Town Hall described the event to Inverse ahead of a public announcement coming tomorrow, which everybody is waiting for. Phil Spencer confirmed to employees that there would in fact be future hardware from Xbox and added that it would be safe to assume another Call of Duty was coming this October. He also addressed the company's recent job cuts and said that it had been a hard decision to stop things that weren't working. This is what Sarah Bond had to say, and I quote, "Every screen is an Xbox," she said in the internal meeting, according to multiple sources who requested anonymity, as they were not authorized to speak to the media. Bond spoke extensively about Xbox's strategy of existing on multiple kinds of devices and greater ambitions of becoming the #1 cross-platform gaming company. This isn't the first time that Xbox has shared its multi-device strategy. Back in 2020, Xbox Gaming Devices and Ecosystem Vice President Jason Ronald said, and I quote, "Xbox is not trying to force the player to upgrade to an individual device or to make things exclusive to this device or that device." He estimated that this strategy had been in place since Phil Spencer became head of the company in 2014, a year after the release of the Xbox One. To illustrate the idea of Xbox on every screen, Microsoft showed images of Palworld on tablets, TV screens, monitors, and handheld devices. Internally, employees expressed surprise at seeing so much Palworld and joked about the possibility of an Xbox handheld, which has also been rumored as well. Xbox did not return multiple requests for comment on this, which they obviously wouldn't do. 2 months into 2024, Palworld, the Pokemon-esque open world survival game about gunning up pals, has quickly become a surprise success, and Microsoft's video game streaming service, Xbox Game Pass, also offers Palworld. Developer Pocket Pair posted on January 31st, almost 2 weeks after launch, that the game had reached 7 million players on Xbox and sold 12 million copies on Steam. Again, getting exclusive access to Palworld could give Microsoft and Xbox another advantage over the competition. Though the Pokemon company did warn in January that it plans to investigate blah blah blah, they aren't going to do anything. The internal town hall came ahead of Spencer Bond and Matt Booty hosting an Xbox podcast at 3 Eastern tomorrow, which will hopefully clarify the many rumors and reports about the futures of Xbox consoles, Xbox exclusive games, and of course, I'm going to be talking about that. But the interesting thing here is what Sarah Bond said. Every screen is an Xbox, which we've kind of heard that before, but she spoke, about this strategy about multiple devices and screens and things like that, which again, stuff that we've kind of heard before. But when you hear ambitions of becoming the #1 cross-platform game company, I think the only way you could do that is if you are, putting your games on PlayStation and Nintendo and things like that, which doesn't sound like a very good thing. It sounds like things are kind of going in a way that, maybe not a lot of us wanted them to go, unfortunately. So, we'll have to wait and see what happens completely. I know some people think that it is going to be a situation where gamers are going to lose access to their games long term. To me, like, a lot of people have asked my opinion, like, oh, you must be going to switch to PlayStation, and that's never really been an option because I already have a PlayStation. I've had one since launch. I have an Xbox since launch. Kind of is what it is. I think next gen would be the real test case to see what's going on. If Microsoft is putting, you know, most or all their games on PlayStation, probably a lot of people are just going to go with PlayStation, you know. So I think that kind of answers the question for itself. Now, for me, like this generation, I think just plays out how it's going to play out, you know, with gamers kind of, you know, doing their own thing or whatever, and kind of waiting around, you know. And again, I think today was an interesting day in gaming because Sony put out some bad news today, which is it seems like they're accelerating their plans for day-and-date PC releases for PlayStation 5 exclusives. It also seems like, you know, they already cut their forecast for amount of PlayStation 5 sold this year. Apparently, console sales are going to be down and going to continue to keep declining. They also aren't going to have any big known exclusives this year, not all the way till sometime in 2025, they said. So there was a lot of bad PlayStation news today, but I think that, you know, a lot of that is going to get covered up tomorrow when Microsoft comes out and kind of leaves the door open for Xbox exclusives everywhere. Now, as for me, I think, you know, I think it kind of depends on where Microsoft stands, but, you know, I think gaming is changing overall, and I feel like there's going to become a point where video games, kind of like at least new video games, I'll probably be a gamer my whole life, but I think there will come a particular point where I'll stop playing new video games and stop getting like the new hardware and stuff like that, because I have so many other platforms. You know, I have pretty much any console you can think of and thousands of games. So to me, realistically, I can see getting off point for video games for myself personally. That doesn't mean everybody will, of course, but I think I saw some wild predictions from people that are insiders. They're like, man, the next generation is going to be all discless, and there's not going to be such things as exclusive. Everything's going to have everything, and games are going to cost $100. And I'm like thinking to myself, that's a good recipe for a game crash like 1983, except for it's going to make 1983 look like a pillow fight in comparison, right? Because people just aren't going to do that. People are not going to pay $600-700 for a console and $100 a piece for a game. They're not going to do it. So yeah, we're in a very interesting time. What do you guys think is going to happen at the town hall thing or whatever? Does it surprise you? A lot of people are going, it shouldn't be a surprise. Microsoft has been saying Xbox is on screens everywhere for years. They also said that they bought ZeniMax to have exclusives, places where Game Pass exists, and Game Pass does not exist on PlayStation or Nintendo. So, very interested to hear what you guys think. Sound off, rate, comment, subscribe. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.